Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. We are at part 2 of the John and Pauline Zile case. As a reminder, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. Around the time 7-year-old Christina was unexpectedly dropped off at her biological mom's house, the Ziles were working as a dynamic duo at a restaurant with Pauline as a waitress and John as the cook. Pauline would reportedly tell people that Christina was in Maryland because she couldn't afford to give her a good life, but hoped they would reunite someday, and that someday came suddenly when the little to no notice Judy showed up with Christina in tow. Now she was living with her biological mother, 2 younger half-brothers, and a stepdad in a 1-bedroom apartment in Riviera Beach, Florida. Within 4 months, she was dead. Almost immediately, Christina suffered physical, emotional, and psychological abuse at the hands of her stepdad. John would beat Christina up in front of anyone, but was kept from going to school due to her bruises. Before she died, she had gone to school 22 times that school year that she had started in her new living arrangements. Christina was murdered around midnight of September 16, 1994. She was in the 2nd grade, 3 feet 9 inches tall, weighing 44 pounds. Christina was beaten to death by her stepdad, John Zile, while her birth giver stood around and watched it happen. The beatings were so bad she collapsed and went into convulsions. The autopsy later determined the cause of death was suffocation as she choked on her own blood and vomit. John would hold his hand over her mouth and stuffed a towel in her mouth during the violence to muffle the sounds of her screams and cries. Sounds all too familiar. Something my own stepfather would do to me. I can still feel his hands on my neck to keep me from breathing and his hands on my mouth to keep me from screaming. His favorite way to muffle the sound was pushing my screaming face into a pillow. I'm lucky to be alive. Christina didn't live to tell her story, which is why I feel the strong need to do it for her. This real-life monster named John Zile later told authorities Christina's death was an accident. You see, she had soiled herself and got it on their precious floor of their single island 1-bedroom apartment, so he got mad and accidentally beat her so hard that she died. Neighbors heard John yell, "Why did you shit on the floor in front of me?" They heard the child screaming and suffering. Then the scream stopped. After he realized what he had done, John tried to bring Christina back to life from his own doing by dunking her in a tub of cold water. Pauline was 8 months pregnant during the murder. She would give birth to a healthy baby in prison who was adopted immediately. 3 days after the murder, Pauline went to Christina's Juniper Farms Elementary and formally withdrew her from the school, but did not ask for her records. That was unusual in a transfer situation because school records from the previous school are often necessary for enrollment into a new school. However, this was not a transfer. This was a murder, and Pauline was trying to cover her and her husband's tracks. Pauline told the school that Christina had returned to Maryland. Pauline even took Christina's bike and VHS tapes to a pawn shop for some instant coins. 4 weeks after the murder, Pauline went on national television with tears falling down her face, holding her daughter's favorite doll. She begged the so-called kidnapper for her daughter's safe return. Pauline made up a whole story about how little Christina had been snatched from a public bathroom at the Fort Lauderdale flea market. During this class act, Pauline referred to Christina in the past tense, saying she was a nice girl. She then proceeded to bring the police over to her car, where she had placed a half-empty bottle of juice, a semi-eaten bag of candy on her car seat. Pauline would go on and on about how they had planned a mother-daughter day trip to the flea market and how Christina was excited to see the circus and rides. 24-year-old Pauline told the cameras while wiping her eyes with a napkin, and I quote, "I just want her back. I just want her safe and sound," unquote. The tale of the damsel in distress mother crying for her missing daughter made headlines. A frantic search commenced for the little girl who was already dead. They had killed her. The case got the attention of America's Most Wanted. An October 24th, 1994 Miami Herald article named only as the child's father went as that guy lived in Maryland and knew nothing about the apparent abduction when police spoke to him. Christina never lived with him, and he had no interest in custody. Police started putting the pieces together after they could not verify anyone who had seen a girl matching Christina's description at the flea market on the day they said that they had gone. After doing more digging, authorities were able to determine that Christina had not been seen for quite some time, especially when they learned about how she had been pulled from the school and had not registered in a new one.